Tell us a little bit about yourself. That's a pretty easy question.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay? Just thumbs up if you can.
We got it.
Yes. Okay, good. So my name is Cheryl. I hail from Toronto, otherwise known as the Six, land of Drizzy Drake, the weekend, and we claim Beebs, but even though he's like a couple hours away, but still. And I forgot that we were 2 hours apart. So I've just been pumped up waiting since I guess 5 p.m. your time. How lame is that? So I've been sitting here just like, okay, I'm just gonna hang out. I'm a filmmaker, playwright. That's how I started. I have a theater company. We're in schools all the time, and we use art as a tool for social justice. So we address things like mental health, eating disorders, bullying, racism. I call them all the uglies. Suicidal thoughts, drug addiction. We use theater and art to reach. It's all high school stuff because it's pretty heavy. And then I kind of span out of that. I still have that theater company going, but I'm just kind of checking in with them from now every now and then. And now I co-host a national television show called See Her Love. It's like The View, and it's like The View, but it's Christian. So it's a Christian women's talk show. It runs from one end to the other, and it's on Yes TV. I don't know if you guys get Yes TV, if that's a thing out there, but that's where it's on. And I host my own podcast show, and I'm a speaker. And so that's kind of how Caitlin and I hooked up. I've been a speaker at some of her events, and we've bumped into places, Vancouver, Edmonton, wherever, always hooking up. And so, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And I'm a mom. I have 3 kids and 2 bonuses. I work with at-risk youth. So some of I've like a train station of young people, and some just never leave. So that's okay too. And 2 I've fully adopted. So that's hilarious because one is like 30 something. He's like, Mom. And people are like, ew, what happened there? And I'm like, never mind. It's never mind.
That
Too
is
long
awesome.
to explain.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That,
that's me. Yeah. And I work with at-risk youth, and I work with marginalized women. That's my passion. That's my home.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Sounds like you're in lots of cool places doing a lot of cool things and totally just living out the purpose God has for you. And we value that so much from you. And so our next question is, tell us about one of the greatest challenges that you've had to overcome in your life.
I would say the greatest challenge for me was letting go of my past. Um, my past is about like like many people in the room. It's like 3 feature films, 2 novels, and a web series. And it started at 5, and it never ended until about 20 years old. Without getting into any heavy stuff, don't want to trigger, but just like sexual abuse, 5 to 12. Joined a gang at 13, gang bang for 3 years till 16, when some members of the gang turned on me. I suffered a real bad sexual assault that kind of made me snap. Now I have the language for it. I had a breakdown and ended up on and off the street for 3 years, from 16 to 19, and was met on the street by what we call like an urban missionary, street evangelist, and the love of God found me there, and I've never looked back since. So I just dedicated my life from that moment on to reach the very people that I once was.
Wow. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing those things with us. It sounds like I understand why it would be hard to let go of some of those things and learn how to deal and walk through those things. And so could you share with us how you did that, how you overcame those things and were able to let them go?
Yeah. Okay, so hilarious moment. I have 2 cameras. I was looking down here. My camera's up here. Hi. I was like, yeah, so I hilarious, Cheryl. Here's the number one thing that I had to come into an awareness of. That what I've been through is not who I am. And I couldn't separate the 2. So the drugs, the abortions, the alcohol, the lifestyle, the pain, I could not separate it. And so I was literally holding it as part of my identity. And when I came into this amazing, freeing, life-changing life of God, I realized that he can take that and completely separate that from me. And so who I am is not what I've been through. That was number one. Number two, forgiveness. I have to just camp there for like 30 seconds. Forgiveness, unforgiveness, let me start there, is spiritual cancer. What do I mean by that? Holding on to the wounds and what someone has done, and I can't believe, and I hate them, and I'll never, and no one will ever, and all of that rage, it affects you. It seeps into all these places and shows up in ways that you didn't expect. And so I was fully raging, angry, on lock 24/7. And I had to let that go because the reality was I'm here in this digging this slow grave of unforgiveness, dying emotionally, joy's leaving, peace is leaving, mental health is going. And the people who smashed me and broke me are living their lives. Like they're living their best lives. And I'm trapped in the memories of things. So I had to make a choice. It wasn't easy to forgive. It didn't mean, and if I can take another minute, it didn't mean that what they did was right. Can I just say that? It didn't mean that what they did was right. I wasn't giving them a pass. I wasn't giving them a green light, but I chose me. I chose me over them. So to me, whenever I get to talk about it on TV, I say that forgiveness, everyone's talking about, oh, self-care and like massage and like moisturize and hydrate. Sorry, I don't know why I went to that accent, but anyways, I always do that. Yeah, like just like exfoliate and stuff. But I'm like, forgiveness is self-care. And if you can actually think of it that way, that forgiveness is part of making me whole and better and stronger, then I encourage you to choose yourself. Yeah.
Wow, that that is powerful. Um, and what would you say? So forgiveness is such a huge part of mental health. You talked about you losing mental health and struggling in that way. What would you say are some major misconceptions about mental health?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I think I'm gonna say this one thing. I had something else, but I feel like I need to switch it. Um, Having issues with mental health or working through mental health stuff is not a sign of weakness. Can I just say that again? Because you are struggling temporarily doesn't mean that you are weak, broken, damaged, messed up for life. And in my culture, I come from a West Indian, Caribbean culture. Even admitting that you need help or that you're struggling or you're not okay is a sign of weakness. And so you better suck it up and you better pull it together and right. And that is so detrimental. And I don't know if anybody else's culture shares that like mine, where white flagging is not an option. But can I tell you, the bravest thing you can do is to say, yo, I'm not straight. I need help.
Yeah, that's huge and can be so hard. Even in our culture, I feel that too. Yeah, I feel weak when I need help, but that is such a misconception. It is actually the brave thing to say that you need help, the strong thing.
Yeah.
So that would be one way of practicing positive mental health. How else do you practice positive mental health in your life?
Um, so I'm like severely allergic to fake. I break out in hives. I can't handle fake people and fake things. And so for me, I have to make a choice of the environments that I find myself in. And so I had to look at the people who were like what I call like joy vampires. They're closet haters. They're frenemies. They don't mean me well. They cause stress. They backstab me. I never feel safe ever when I'm with them. And there's got to be a place in your life where you can let yourself down, your guard down, be a mess, be a mistake, and know that they're gonna hold you. I didn't have that. I was surrounded by a bunch of like just horrible like haters. So I had to do some letting go. I had to take out the trash. And yes, I said that. I said what I said. I had to take out the trash. And that was one thing, cleaning up my environment. The other thing was I started to now, once I got rid of some toxic things, I was watching what I was taking in. There was some stuff that was making me really upset. And believe it or not, social media is one of those things to this day, because sometimes you look at people and their lives are just like so amazing. Like, oh my God, wow. Like I don't even have a blemish. Good for you. That's great. The rest of us are out here like trying to survive, and I was starting to compare and compete, and that's not good for my mental health. So I another thing in the trash. Then I started to ask myself, well, what do I need to put in? Because the truth is, if you don't plug into something, if you don't get fuel, the car's gonna stall out. You're gonna end up being super dry, and just, it's like Thanos. You're just gonna flake away. And so for me, I had to plug into the Word. I had to plug into prayer. I wanted to find friends that would lift me up and support me and not tear me down. And I just started to get real specific about what I was putting in, if you can understand that analogy, putting into my temple. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, get rid of the bad and bring in the good and the health. That totally makes
Honey, we're detoxing in all things.
sense.
Detoxing friends, detoxing enemies. We're detoxing.
There we go. So important. And would you have any other final advice to anyone that might be struggling with their mental health that's on the call tonight? And I mean, really, in reality, we all are working to improve our mental health at some level. What advice would you have for us?
Um, I would say to you, that you are stronger than you know, that you are not alone, that this too shall pass, and that God's love is greater than any dark, shadowy moment, any horrible word, experience, toxic family, generational stuff, financial problems. He's just greater. His love is greater. And if you just let that guard down, which I get, because when you're hurt, you do this, right? You just tighten up. But if you let it down and let him in, man, it's the greatest surgery that you can ever have. Talk about a makeover, the before and after, dude.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing those things. We have like 2 minutes. If anyone had a question to put in the chat, this would be
Yes,
your time.
ask me.
Um, I guess one that I could kick it off with is you talk about letting your guard down and letting God's love in. What does that practically look like?
Um, it looks like a conversation. I used to, can I demystify this stuff? Like, we get so super spiritual and super like, it's all like fairy dust and we can't understand it. Like, it's really just saying, God, I don't get it. God, I'm hurting. God, would you help me? Would you give me peace? Take away this anger. I want to punch a wall right now. Help me calm down. Like, like he is as present and as close as a brother. And so I think about like a family member on my bed, just right there, ready to listen. And so I've learned to practice just getting it out, saying it out. And the act of just sort of articulating where I'm at, that alone unlocks some things. So for me, I would just say, just get into the habit of just talking to God wherever. This geography thing, that's religious. I have to be on my knees. I have to be in church. I have to wear a dress. Get bogus. Just wherever you are, just talk to God on the street, in the middle. Like, I was about to gangbang, be like, God, if you can get me, I don't want to be here anymore. And wherever you are in the crisis, just talk to God. And so that was one thing. And then the other thing was just allowing people who knew God, or people who were trying to help, even just trying to help, period. Those that cared for me, allowing them in, because I was shutting the world out. I was shutting the world out. I was angry, right?
Totally. That's so huge. And maybe we'll just close with this question. How has self-awareness brought you healing from your past?
Oh, wow. Who wrote that? I need to meet her. Lola? Good Lord.
Lola.
Lola for president. This is an Oprah question. Hold on. How has self-awareness brought you healing from your past? Hmm. I think I'm gonna. I hate to circle back, but it just falls in line. Once I understood that what happened to me is not who I am, and I understood, I started to learn I got my identity from the Bible because I was told a lot of horrible things growing up. If I listened to what was said to me, I wouldn't be here. And so I had to shut down those voices that were really tearing me down. And I had to listen, like, God, who do you say I am? You say that I'm beautifully made, that I have destiny, I have purpose, that I'm loved, that I'm seen, that I'm heard. And so that I'm royal. And I had to understand, like, what does that mean? If I'm a queen, then, oh, I get that. I stay on my throne. I don't have to give myself away to people. I don't have to come off my throne for guys. You got to come to me, do the work. Like everything, I started to pop my collar, everything changed. Like I started to understand, like, I'm a daughter of a king, step back, like slow your roll. And so everything changed for me when I got a glimpse of how God saw me. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm getting hype.
That's huge.
I'm getting hype, and I just want to stay forever.
Yeah.
So
No, that's good.
everyone's officially locked into this Zoom. You're not permitted to, just joking.
That is so good. Thank you for sharing that.
Hold on. I gotta do it for my sister. Period. I saw it in there. Like she's like period. I was like period with a T. Period.
That's right. That's the best way. Yeah, we got it. Period. We got it sealed in there. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Cheryl.